Hare Krishna. So we're a little bit sad today. This is our last evening here. So again, we're going to go to Vrindavan without ticket, no visa, no reservation, no security check. And just to put us, because today we're going to Raval, the appearance place of Srimati Radhika. So just to put us in the correct mood, we have a very beautiful song by Srila Rupa Goswami. So you can look on your devices, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. That sounds good. No, it's too high. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Damodara Rati Bardana Beshe Harini Skuta Vrinda Vipineshe. Damodara Rati Bardana Beshe Harini Skuta Vrinda Vipineshe. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Vanudadi Navachashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. Vanudadi Navachashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Karunam Karumai Karunabharite Sanaka Sanatana Bharita Charite. Karunam Karumai Karunavarite Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Karunam Karumai Karunavarite Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite Karunam Karumai Karunavarite Sanaka Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Sri Radhe Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe. Jaya Jaya Sri Radhe. Sham. So this is a beautiful song by Srila Rupa Goswami. He says, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Dayate means the beloved. All glories to Radharani, who's the beloved of Krishna, the beloved of Madhav. Gokula Tarani Mandala Mohite. Tarani means young girls. So all the young girls, the whole group of them, Mandala, Gokula Tarani Mandala, all the young girls of Gokul, even they're worshipping Srimati Radharani. Even girls are worshipping. She's so wonderful. And a recording Prabhupada says, somebody may ask, Rupa Goswami, he's a great big scholar. He knows so many languages. He knows Persian, he knows Bengali, he knows Sanskrit, he knows Hindi. He's a big scholar. Why he's writing a song about a young girl? But the last line says, Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite. Just like we know Chaitanya Charitamrita. So even Sanak Sanatan, they're glorifying the character of Srimati Radharani. Sanak Sanatan means the four Kumaras. There's two other names, but it implies the four Kumaras. And the four Kumaras, we know that they're brahmacharis since the beginning of the universe. Even they're glorifying Srimati Radhika. So we're not talking about an ordinary girl. We're talking about none other than that Ladini Shakti of Lord Krishna, Sri Radha. Krishna's very being, his Swarup Shakti, has three divisions. Sambit, just like we know the word Vidya, Sambit Shakti, by which knowledge is experienced. And Sandini Shakti, by which existence is experienced. And Ladini Shakti, by which pleasure is experienced. So all these three, they're within Krishna himself. He doesn't get to go outside looking for some pleasure. It's already within him. Not like us, we're running around on 4 wheels. And the animals are running around on 4 feet. The same business, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So same business. So Krishna, he doesn't have to run around to look for anything. Everything is within him. So we're not discussing an ordinary girl, but that Ladini Shakti of Lord Sri Krishna. Srimati Radharani. And today we'll go to Raval. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaparandiyam Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Manjakalpatrubhyascha kripasindhuvevascha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So we heard how Nanda Baba was staying in Gokul. So Brishabhanu was his very dear friend. So he was staying nearby Gokul in a place called Raval, on the opposite side of the Jamuna from Mathura. Because Raval is the actual appearance place of Srimati Radharani. Her living place, just like Nanda Baba, he moved to Nandagaon. So Brishabhanu, he moved to Barsana. But in the very beginning, he was staying in Raval. And to understand about the appearance of Srimati Radhika, we'll have to go back many thousands of years in history. There was one very wonderful prince named Sucharu, and a very beautiful princess called, what was her name? Oh, Arjuna's not here. Kalavati. Very beautiful princess named Kalavati. And seeing their matching qualities, they arranged their wedding together. And then a very wonderful wedding ceremony took place. But most astonishing, after the wedding, Sucharu and Kalavati, they went to the forest to perform penances and austerities. This was most astounding. They were just sleeping on dry grass, dry leaves, eating only berries that monkeys will eat. This was most astounding. They were prince and princess. They're used to sleeping on nice soft bed, nice paneer sabji and puri and sweet rice and halwa. Just like us, as soon as we take to householder life, then we're thinking, oh, now I don't have to sleep in a mat in the ashram anymore. Now I get a nice soft bed. No more temple prasad. Now we get puris and sweet rice every day. But they went to the forest and were sleeping on dry grass and eating only berries that monkeys eat. This is most astonishing. So finally, at the end, after many, many years, Lord Brahma descended on his swan airplane. And he asked them what benediction that they desired. And they told him that we want to get Lakshmiji, the consort of Lord Vishnu, as our daughter in order to render service to her. And Brahma was so astonished. Whenever it comes time after the austerity for asking the benediction, inquiring about the benediction, then everybody has a long list. I want this and this and this and this and this and this, and I want credit for the next austerity. I want this and this and this. Give me a job and a car and a house by the sea. Swami Jai Jagadish Hari. But they were asking for service. So Brahma was really satisfied. Wow, 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 wow. Not just Lakshmiji. I will give you the consort of Brajendananda and Shyam Sundar, Srimati Radhika. She will become your daughter in your next incarnation. So in their next lives, Sucharu came as Brisabhanu, and Kalavati came as Kirtida. And again, their parents, seeing their matching qualities, they arranged their wedding together. They had a very beautiful, wonderful, pompous wedding. And he made his capital in Raval. And they were always desiring to have, mysteriously, they were always desiring to have a daughter. But many years passed and no daughter came. They had one son, Sridham. He's the elder brother of Srimati Radhika. But no daughter came. Still, they were always desiring. So Raval is just on the bank of the Jamuna. If you go there, you can see from the roof of the temple, we look out and we can see across. Now Jamuna has gone far away, but I've seen whenever it floods, Jamuna comes. We saw last flood, it was coming up right to the bottom of the steps of the temple. And you can look across, there's a beautiful garden on the other side with a big ancient wall that's crumbling around it. And you can see the water line mark on the bricks, the old ancient bricks. And now the government, used to be just a little mud puddle there with water hyacinths in it, and now the government has built an enormous kund. This beautiful kund is there with nice ghats and little chatris, and very beautiful place. So one day, it was the 8th day of the bright half of the month of Bhadra. And Rishabhanu, like every day, just like all of us, he went down to the Jamuna to take his bath before Mangalarti. As he came down to the Jamuna, he saw something was sparkling in Jamuna, golden, sparkling thing. As he got closer, he saw it was a 1,000-petaled golden lotus flower. As he got even closer, he saw that within that lotus flower, sitting on the golden corolla of that lotus flower, lying there, there was a beautiful golden baby girl. Now, Bhadra means it's the second month of rainy season. So the current of Jamuna was very heavy. He was unable to reach to that lotus flower. Then suddenly Lord Brahma appeared on his swan airplane. And he lifted that beautiful baby girl from the lotus flower and handed her to Brisabhanu and reminded him of his previous benediction. And Brisabhanu, he bowed, and Lord Brahma went back. Then he just looked at this beautiful baby girl. She was so sweet, so soft, so beautiful, golden complexion. He ran to the palace. Oh Devi, oh Devi, oh Devi Kirtida, we got our daughter, we got our daughter. Kirtida Maharani came running. And she saw this beautiful baby girl in the arms of Brisabhanu. She just took that baby girl from his arms and held her close to her breasts. And she was just feeling, oh, she's so soft like butter, and so beautiful golden color, and so soft and so sweet, so komal, beautiful tiny little hands, and beautiful auspicious lines in her hands. But they saw one thing. Her eyes were sealed shut. She was totally blind. And they thought, anyway, she's so beautiful, it doesn't matter. Blind daughter better than no daughter. Now, to understand this blindness, we're going to have to go all the way up to the Golok Dham. One day in Golok Dham, if we can talk about days in eternal time, Krishna Chandra told Radharani, hey Radhe, on the earth, Dwapar Yuga is coming to an end. It's time for us to go there and display our pastimes on the earth. And Radharani said, I don't want to go to that dark, nasty material world where no one is doing your seva, everyone's engaged in sense gratification, no one's chanting your glories. I don't want to go to that nasty place. Yatra Vrindavanam nasti, tatra jamuna nadi, yatra govardhanam nasti, Tatramam na miramam sukham. Where there's no, in that place where there's no Vrindavan, where there's no Jamuna, where there's no Govardhan, I will not feel happy in such a place. Mohammed manne lagti. And Krishna Chandra said, hey Radhe, just see, Vrindavan has already gone, Jamuna has already gone, Govardhan has already gone. And she looked down on that dark material world, and shining on the face of that dark material world was this golden Brajadam. And cutting like a blue ribbon through that Brajadam was this beautiful Jamuna. And standing very tall and proud was Giriraj. So Radharani said, all right, I'll go, but I don't want to see anyone or anything until I can see your Mukha Chandra, your moon-like face. So therefore, she was totally blind. Anyway, they thought, she's so beautiful, it doesn't matter. At the same time, Narad Muni was nearby. He had his brand new iPhone 19, slim, with his astrology program plugged in. The astrology app was running. And he calculated this is the time and this is the place where that Ladini Shakti of Sri Krishna will appear. So he began to wander hither and thither around. Where is this place? He came to the palace of Vrishabhanam. He knocked on the door. The doorman came. He saw it was Narad Muni. He ran to Vrishabhanu. He said, Narad Muni is here. Vrishabhanu, the king, he came to the door to receive Narad Muni. Oh, Munivar, Padarye, please come. Oh, Munivar, Viraje. He sat him down on his own throne. He washed his feet. He sprinkled the water in his head, on everyone's head. He sat at the foot of his own throne. The king was sitting at the foot of his own throne. And he said, Munivar, any seva for me? Any service for me, Munivar? And Narad Muni said, yes, you have any issue? You have any child? And Vrishabhanu said, yes, I have one son. Narad Muni said, one son? Yes, Maharaj, I have one son. One son? Ah, Maharaj, I have one son. One son? Ah, Maharaj. All right, you bring that son. So they brought Sridham, and Narad Muni gave all his blessings on Sridham. He said, this is a very special associate of Lord Krishna. You have to take very, very special care of him. Then Narad Muni got up to leave. As he was leaving, Vrishabhanu noticed there's some dissatisfaction on his face. Prabhupada said, face is the index of the mind. So he said, oh Munivar, Teriye. What? You told a lie? What is it? He said, yes, Maharaj, I have one daughter, but she's blind. I was feeling ashamed to show her. One daughter? Narad Muni ran back. He sat back down. He says, yes, you bring that one, you bring that one. So they brought Srimati Radhika before Narad Muni. Now Narad Muni, he knows who this is. He just went into transcendental ecstasy for a long time. He was in total ecstasy for a very long time. When he finally came to, he said, I know how to cure this blindness. You have to make a very special feast, and you have to make this and this and this and this and this, all complicated things that you'll not find the ingredients easily around the house. And then you invite Nanda Baba and Yasoda to come here, you feed them, and this blindness will be cured. So everybody looked at this big long list. They said, oh no, these things are not easily available around the house. We'll have to go to the market. We'll have to go to the fields. We'll have to go to the bazaar. Everybody ran hither and thither and thither and hither and hither and thither. Because see, Narad Muni is very clever. Now he's alone with Radharani. he began to offer very many beautiful prayers to Srimati Radharani. And she smiled and she said, "What is it that you desire?" He said, "I want to see your Kishori Roop, that form just as a 13, 14-year-old girl. I wish to see that." And before the eyes of Narad Muni, she manifested that beautiful Kishori Roop. And all the Astasakis also appeared in their Kishori Roops. If you go to the temple there, you'll see above the altar there's beautiful painting of all the Radharani and all the Astasakis are there. And Dharmuni now, he's really swimming in the ocean of transcendental bliss. Ah, ah. He paid his obeisances and he went on his way. Radhika Raman, 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 Radhika Raman. Meanwhile, they collected all the items. They ran to the bazaar, they ran to the market, they ran to the fields, they collected all the things. They began the cooking. They'd send a messenger to Gokul, and Nanda Baba and Yasoda came. Krishna was born on the dark half of the 8th day of the month of Bhadra. Bhadrapad Astapad Astami. Krishnastami. Krishnapad Astami. Krishnastami. So he was 1 year and 15 days older. He was under Mother Yasoda's arm. So Nanda and Yasoda, they came, they took darshan of Radharani, and they saw, anyway, she's so beautiful, it doesn't matter. This blindness is nothing, And then Mother Kirtida and Yasoda sat down to do their gossipings, and Nanda Baba and Bisabhanu, they sat down to do their talkings. So meanwhile, Krishna, he was crawling hither and thither and hither and thither. And he saw this beautiful basket with this beautiful black Kali Kamri, beautiful black blanket coming out either side. So he crawled over to that basket. And he grabbed the edge of that basket and he peeked inside to see what's there. Now you've seen how Mother Yasoda, with sandalwood and keshar and kapoor and so many things, she makes all these beautiful paintings on Radharani's face. Krishna's face. That divine fragrance began to enter into the sesame flower-like nose of Srimati Radhika. Many times in the Goswami literature, they describe Radharani's nose just like a sesame flower. One time I went on Braj Prikrama with the walking one with Lokanath Swami and his crew. And we walked through the sesame flower field, and I picked a flower and I looked at it, and it doesn't at all look like a nose. It's very light color, just like Radharani. But anyway, the next year we went through the same field, and I noticed a flower just hanging there. You see the flower just hanging there, has one petal comes up, and just at the end it goes boop, just like a little nose turned up a little bit, and two little petals on the other side. Looks just like, if you see it left from the sideways, looks just like a beautiful transcendental nose. So that divine fragrance entered into the beautiful sesame flower-like nose of Srimati Radhika. Now she knows that Krishna is just her, that moon-like face is just in front of her. Now you have to understand that our, Prabodhanand Saraswati, he writes that that everyone is walking through Krishna is walking through the streets of Gokul, and everybody's seeing him with their two eyes. He's walking with the cows through the streets of Gokul. There's nice little cobblestones, and the hooves of the cows are going clickety, 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 clack, clickety, 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 clack. And everybody's seeing him with two eyes. But I myself, I have to keep one eye on my superiors. With one half of my other eye, I have to keep on my Ninda Karniwalon, those people who criticize me. So with one half of one eye, I get to take a little kataksh. Kataksh means a little glance from the corner of the eye. Huh? And from that 1/4 offense, I'm only doing 1/4 offense, one half of one eye, I'm getting 5 times danda. Cupid is shooting me with his 5 arrows, sound, touch, smell, ityadi. So now, Radha and Krishna, and Krishna, what happens, Krishna sees that little kataksh, little bloop, like that. So Prabodhananda Saraswati says, his mukut falls from his head, his chadar falls off his shoulders, his flute slips from his hands. He doesn't even notice. So you just try to understand. Now Radha and Krishna are amne-samne, face to face. And Radharani opened her beautiful lotus petal eyes and stared with so much love into the eyes of Nandanandan. So much love was going between those eyes. So much love was going between those eyes. So much love was going between those eyes. It's so thick, you could put your finger in and taste it. And both the children began to laugh. When the children began to laugh, the parents' minds were distracted. And they looked and they saw Radharani's beautiful lotus petal eyes were open wide, looking with so much love into the eyes of Sri Nandanandan. And everyone was so amazed. This Narad Muni is so clever. He cured this blindness of Srimati Radhika. Srimati Radhika ki jai. So when we go there, just several years ago, when I first went there, it was just a broken down place. It wasn't even a proper road. We were just going down a dirt road with potholes and everything. And we come to a small little village and go through the village. And there was a somewhat broken down little temple there. Then there was one devotee from Germany. What was his name? Vishnu Yasa. On the 500th anniversary, he had nice marble put on the walls inside the temple. And he had it fixed up a little tiny bit. But then that Dhanuka, next door to our Krishna Balaram Mandir, there's Dhanuka Ashram. So the Dhanukas, they came much later and they made a beautiful temple with big marble walls everywhere, marble dome on top of the temple, and great big place. They put a big wall around. It made a very nice place. And somebody made a nice new Singhasan. Just recently, the disciples of Jayapataka Maharaj, they have gone there, they placed the lotus feet of Sriman Mahaprabhu there, and they've also made a new Singhasan, brand new carved wood Singhasan they made for the deities there. And the deities are known as Ladli Lal. Very beautiful deities of Ladli Lal. And just several years ago, somebody came and established a deity of a crawling Radharani. It's the only place in the whole universe you'll see a deity of Radharani crawling. Very beautiful. On the far right side, there's a beautiful deity. And these beautiful deities of Ladli Lal, they're not very big, they're about this big, are there. And ordinarily they don't allow photos whenever I come, then they always allow. The old Pujari, what was his name? Something Mohan, Chandra Mohan. A few years ago he went back to Godhead. His son is now taking care of the place. And his wife is there. But they're always very, very friendly. They always give nice Mahaprasad. They give me a whole box of Mahaprasad because we usually get there early in the morning, so we take darshan and everything, and then hear the history, and then we go across the street to that garden, and then we sit and take prasad. So we have a whole box of Mahaprasad to distribute to everyone. And now they've expanded it even bigger. There's a bigger wall all around, a big area. There used to be a place outside with this big banyan tree. Now that banyan tree is inside the wall. We have a nice place to sit and take prasadam. Although we usually go across the street because a lot of people coming. Now, in the old days, nobody used to go there. Just us, we would go there and see this place. Just bounce down the road and see this beautiful place. And now the government has made this huge kund behind. And sometimes we go upstairs. There's a little narrow stairway. And we circumambulate around, and we go up the stairs. And then we can see a nice view. We can see the Jamuna flowing way across the fields. And you can see that whole gigantic kund. Used to be just a mud puddle with filled with water hyacinth. But now beautiful kund is there. And we see lotus flowers growing in that kund. And in the, I guess around July, August, September, you see lotus flowers blooming in the kund. Very beautiful place. And we go up on this roof, and it's very interesting because the Pujari told us that his ancestors, 550 years ago, they found these deities of Ladli Lal underneath the Karil tree. There's one tree in Braj. He does not have one single leaf. Only very little green twigs and very, very sharp thorns. And just tiny, very thin little, just all spraying, just all these little shoots going out like this all around. Now, when the contractor put that marble on the temple, when Dhunuka hired a contractor to put marble, he didn't know the history of that tree, and it was in the way of them putting it, because it's very sharp thorns. They're very vicious trees. So he cut it down. Somehow or other, that tree grew behind the marble, and just where the dome and the beginning of the dome meets and the wall meets, he popped out. So you can see this Karil tree there. And just before Kartik, if you come, then you'll see beautiful reddish orange flowers, just sprays and sprays. Beautiful reddish, looks like a fountain of reddish orange flowers are there. And then after those flowers fall off, then little green beads form, and gradually they become big, like about this size, little green, a little bit bigger than green peas. And this is called tenti. And the Brajvasis, they say, Kabul kamewa and Braj katenti. Kabul has got his dry fruit, and Braj has got tenti. And if you ever eat at a Brajvasi's house, and you get some nice rotis, and you see this achar there, which looks like matar achar or something, a little bit bigger, that's tenti. We just go and Braj Prikama begging for Braj roti and tenti achar. Very wonderful. And the Brajvasis, they have many sayings about this. Somehow this tree has just come up and just at the corner, just boom, blooms out. They say, what is that? That Kata Buru Karil Ko or Badaroti Gam, Sot Buri Chunki or Sahajike Kam. So thorn we call Kata because it cuts you. So Kata Buru Karil, the worst thorn is this Karil. Kata Buru Karil Ko or Badaroti Gam. We say Badal, but the Brajvasis, they mix their R's and L's around. So for cloud, they say butter. And we say dup, but they say gam. Badaroti gam, that sunshine that comes between the clouds, means in the rainy season. Because during the summer, it may be 45 degrees, even more, but there's so much haze and dust. You can stand the sunshine. You can't stand the heat, but you can tolerate the sunshine. But in the rainy season, all that dust and haze is washed out of the sky. As soon as the clouds part, then the rays of the sun come down, just like Lord Ramachandra shooting arrows at the 14,000 rovers of the night. It just stings. So they have this verse is telling 4 things that give lots of pain. So kata buro karil ko, or baroti gam, sot buri chungi. If you take another wife in the presence of your living wife, that will also give you lots of trouble. Just like we know our Dasarath got so much trouble. Huh? So tell your wife, sot puri chunki, you take a second wife, or sahajike kam, doing business in partnership or with relatives. You can read any book on business. There's sole proprietorship, and then corporation, and limited liability company, and so many things. And all in partnership. Every book on business will tell you, never ever get involved in a partnership or do business with relatives. You'll always end in pain. So sahajika kam. What else do they say about this? Oh, the Brijvasis say that the queens of Dwarka came to Vrindavan. It's not in our Bhagavatam, but the Brijvasis claim. They say somewhere in Skandapuram, but I haven't found it yet. And they came back and they told Krishna that Bol and Tohela Bachanandagari, Kari Lakata Pani Kubakari, Deki Sham Madhupuri Tehari. They said Bol and Tohela. All the speaking is Hela. Hela means without any respect. Oh, Din Bandhu, Aja, Beja. This is like people come from Lucknow where they speak very fine Hindi. Idaraye, Bejaye, Kalije. They come to Raj. They get big shock. Aja, Beja, Kaja. So Bol and Dohela, Vachananda Gari. Actual word is Gali. The types of words that our mother would wash our mouth out with soap. Because in America, that's what they do. If you use those words, that your mother will wash your mouth with soap. So every word is a gali. You guys can understand Hindi, so you know what the Brijvasis speak. In other parts of India, that will start a fight. But the Brijvasis in love, they talk like that amongst themselves. Just like our Artabandhu, he's from Detroit, Detroit, they talk like that. You son of a... But it's just in love. The Bola Dela Vachanandagari, every word is a cuss word. Bola Dela Vachanandagari. Kari Lakata, every word is a thorn tree. And Padi Kubakari. And all the water is salty. We say Kali, but they say Kari. All the water is salty. Deki Sham Murupuri to Hari. We have seen your Murupuri Sham. So anyway, this beautiful Karil tree, somehow he saved himself. He just grew up behind the marble and popped out again. But this is the original tree of Braj. When they're in Dwarka, and Rohini, she was in Braj, so she sometimes talks about Braj, and all the queens become upset. Why do you want to talk about that nasty place? And Mother Padmavati, Kansa's mother, comes. Why do you want to talk about that nasty sticker forest, thorn forest? And the poor guy, he was a little hungry. He took a little butter, and they chased him with sticks. They tied him with ropes. They pulled his ear. Why do you want to talk about that nasty place? So this is the original tree of Braj, this Karil. And when you're going down the road, if you know where to look, you'll see so many Karil trees on the way down to the temple. And it used to be very, very sweet there. Now it's become, they have a big program for Radhastami. But we used to go there. And maybe 3 or 4 buses and 20 cars or something were there. And they don't have if you go to Barsana, that's like 4 o'clock in the morning. Of course, in Barsana, if you want to know how to celebrate Radhastami, whole night they sing and dance. If you go there, you will see the whole night singing and dancing. And in the main courtyard, there's 4 kirtan parties. There's 5 actually. There's 1 in each corner and 1 in the center. And sometimes this one becomes big and everybody sort of gravitates to that one. The middle one comes big and everyone goes to that one. And this one becomes big and then that one. All night long they sing and dance their hearts out. And then 4 o'clock in the morning, they do the Abhishek. And by that time, if you're not inside, uh, I don't know what they. Last time I went, they at midnight they closed, they locked the door completely. They wouldn't even let the pujaris in. Pujaris had to pull all the milk and ghee and all the Abhishek paraphernalia by rope up to the temple room because the police wouldn't open the door. So we spent the night there. So we slept. We watched them chant and dance, and we went up on the roof and hid somewhere and slept. And then we came down, and we were just on the edge because we had been up on the roof. We came down, the temple was jammed, so we were, just on the up against the wall, and all of a sudden, uh, the curtains, because they have the whole darshan mandap is blocked off with curtains. Suddenly, those curtains begin to rustle. Everybody jumps to their feet, and they pull those curtains open, and then they have Radharani comes outside on the darshan mandap. They have a special snan vedi, and they do this incredible abhishek, and everybody just, you know, we were on the complete edge, and we just got pulled by the crowd. We didn't even put our feet weren't even on the ground. We just right into the center, right in front of Srimati Radharani, and we went 10 feet over this way, and then 7 feet over this way, and the whole time our feet were never touching the ground. I was with a poor fellow from Singapore, Sanan. He was like 65 years old or something. He was freaking out, but I'm just used to it. This is what happens in Braj. So I was just having a good time, just going with the flow. Then he saw that I was laughing, so he began to laugh. Whole time they kept us right in front of Radharani. Then they close the curtains and they open the doors, and everybody comes charging through, and they give out Charnamrit and everything. But at Barsana, it's around 6:30 or 7 in the morning. Not Barsana, I mean in Raval. And everybody sits down. In Barsana, it's total chaos. But in Raval, I haven't been there for many, many years. I don't know. But it used to be just everybody sits very peacefully. They do the Abhishek. And it's like 6 or 7 in the morning, so it's not so a very comfortable time. And they do the Abhishek like that. It's very simple. And then they dress the deities and have artik and like that. Now they have a big festival that goes on for 3 or 4 days, and they have so many personalities come and sing, and Binod Agarwal and everyone comes and sings. It's a big thing. But old days it was very sweet and nice. And then way across on the other side, there's this big garden. And in the middle of the garden, there's a little shrine. In that shrine, they have the most interesting deities of Radha and Krishna, very beautiful brass Radha and Krishna on a jula. And everybody, gets to come and swing Radha and Krishna. Very beautiful. And then, if you go behind that temple, we usually just sit there all around on the marble floor and have our breakfast prasad there. And then behind the temple, there's a little path, and you go down, and there's the Yugala Vriksh. There's an old, ancient, big, huge, fat bakul tree, merged, dark, and he's completely black. And there's a white peepal tree, and they're all entwined together. So the Brishvasis call it Yugala Vriksh. It's Radha and Krishna embracing like this. So this Yugala Vriksh is there, and so many little flowers are there. What is that one flower? That little white flower that comes there. In Raval, in the garden. Sometimes I point it out when they're there. Oh, my brain is funny since COVID, so I can't think. White flower is kunda. No, this is not kunda. This is.
Where in the garden?
Just when you're coming in on the side, there's these little bushes. Sometimes they have little white flowers. Anyway, I can't remember the name. These little beautiful white, very scented flowers come. And it's a very nice place to Also, sometimes we do katha there when it's too crowded in Kartik. We go there and do katha. We can sit and take prasad. Very beautiful place. So anyway, it's a very nice. It's just a tiny little village there. We also get very nice rotis when we come back through the village. We'll just roll down the window of the car and Haribo, roti do, Radhisham, Marukari. They'd be nice, thick roasties like this, Not like especially the Gujaratis. They use this thing in flat as a piece of paper, but they don't use this thing. They're nice and thick with ghee and homemade butter on top. And if we're lucky, we get some tenti achar. So, and now there's a nice road that goes there that somebody donated right on the highway. There's a big, beautiful red sandstone gate. You just used to have to know where to turn in the old days, and it was just a dirt road, and we go down there. And like I said, this beautiful deity of crawling Radharani is there. Yeah. I told them that. No, there's this beautiful kund back there. Oh, Mahaprabhu also came in Bhakti Ratnakar, it describes how he came to Raval. And in Raval, it says he went into such deep ecstasy, and Nahari Chakravarti wrote this. He says, I have no words to describe the ecstasy of Mahaprabhu when he stayed at Raval taking darshan of Radha and Krishna. And that's the end of the Braj Prikrama. When you get to Raval, they camp there. Then the next morning they walk back to Visram. They go across the bridge, go back to Visram Ghat, take their bath, and that's end of Samapt. Yeah, I'm just asking if anyone has any questions.
Is there any evidence of Srila Prabhupada visiting Raval?
Not really. In Gokul, there's evidence. You see that beautiful, your Ever Well-Wisher film, there's a scene where Prabhupada came to a bank of the Jamuna at Brahmandagat, where Krishna displayed the Brahman before before Mother Yasoda. So they'd done a big program, Pandal program in Delhi, and then it was November, so it was late November they came there, almost December. And one devotee who was there, he told me Prabhupada went down, he touched the water. He says, it is too cold for old men like me, but you all go. So all the devotees just jumped in the river and put on their gumshoes and jumped in the river, and they're having wonderful time splashing and playing. And then you see in the film, Prabhupada, he's sitting with Adi Keshav, O.B.L. Kapoor, his godbrother. And suddenly he, why not? You can see it's silent, so but you can figure out the Prabhupada saying, why not? And all of a sudden Prabhupada just pulls off his pullover and he zips into his gamcha, and then the late Shirodakshay Vishnu Maharaj takes him down the steps by the hand, and then in Bharati fashion, he grabs his nose and pow in the water, and then just rubbing his arms like this. So Brahmandagat, we have evidence that he went to Gokul and Brahmandagat. And once you go there, next time you see that film, you'll recognize everything. So if there's no more questions, we'll put our voice to rest here, and we'll have our nice kirtan. Hare Krishna. And we hope to come back again soon sometime. Either that or we'll see you there in Braj. You're just a little ways down from Raval. There's a place called Lohavan. We don't often go there. If you go on Braj Prikam, you definitely go there. And even the residents there can't tell me the story. Somehow, all I know is that Bhakti Ratnakar says Krishna killed Lohajanga Asura. Lohajanga Asura was killed there. And the only thing that's left is up to the Janga means the knee, so there's just a statue there up to the knee. The rest of it is gone. And there's a little, they say the Saptarishis did penance there. There's a little cave there, and a little temple of Gopinath. It's a very interesting temple because, most temples you see a wall like this, and then the dome starts. The dome starts from the ground up like that. The walls don't go straight; they go curved. It's a very ancient temple. They said it was so small that the Mughals never found it, so they never smashed it. So we got saved. A beautiful deity of Gopinath is there. Now they have so many other temples there around, but that's the original one. Is this Gopinath temple, and there's a beautiful kund there with so many kadamba trees around, called Krishna Kund. Very beautiful kund is there. And then this Brahman Reti Maharaj, Guru Sharanand, he's established one Devi temple there. You can go there, and every form of Devi that you can imagine must be in that temple. Some very ghastly forms are there. That wasn't there when I originally went there, but now this Guru Sharanand Ramariti Maharaj, he's made this beautiful place there. Hare Krishna. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, we didn't tell a story about Prabhupada today, huh? What haven't we told you? Well, we'll tell one. Because when I was president of Portland, at that time, Mukunda was in a little bit of Maya, and he and Janaki were living across in Oregon. At the very top, Portland is at the very top of the state, and there's what's the name of that river? Maybe Columbia River? And then on the other side of the river it begins the state of Washington. A little ways from there is, after you cross over the bridge, a little ways is a town called Kelso. So Mukunda was living there with Janaki. And he used to come to the Portland temple, and he'd tell me all these stories that nobody knows. He told me he was in a band, and they were just beginning to get popular. And he was beginning to peel the pinch of material success. He said Prabhupada came in his life just at the perfect time. Because when they started out, they had a band, and they have a lot of fun jamming together. And now all of a sudden, there's contracts to be signed, and people want you to play, before you could play whatever you want. Now the people want to hear this one, they want to hear that one. And always in the contracts, there's always, some disagreements about how much they're getting paid, and all this negotiation. He said just the pinch of material success was beginning to pinch his heart. And what happened was Prabhupada had moved from the uptown, he came downtown to the Bowery. In those days, the Bowery, that was the bowels of New York. Now it's pretty cleaned up, but anyway, those days it was a very terrible place. And this one boy had gotten, from California, he got an inheritance, and he got what they call AIR loft, not All India Radio, but artist in residence. Because on the top of the apartment building, there's a big loft, a big room with lots of windows and very light, and it was a nice place for poor artists could rent these places and paint and everything. So he had this dream that he's going to become a famous artist, and he rented this place. And because, he had this inheritance, he had money, suddenly everyone became his friend, and they were all ripping him off. And so he got totally frustrated, and he told Swamiji, you go and stay there. The rent is paid for the whole year, you go and stay there. So Prabhupada left the uptown, and he came down to the Bowery to stay there. So then every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, he was having Bhagavad Gita classes, and they were having kirtan every morning. Somehow Mukunda, somebody told him this is an Indian Swami, he's down in the Bowery, just 2 or 3 blocks from Mukunda's house. And he's teaching Sanskrit. He was quoting, Bhagavad Gita verses, so he thought he was teaching Sanskrit. So he thought, anyway, it's interesting. So he walked down to the Bowery. Now the Bowery, nowadays we call them homeless. Those days we just called them bums. They just drink all day and sleep all day. And so just to get into the building, you would have to step over these bums would be there, and because they're drinking beer and wine all day long, so that has to come out somewhere. Now you're drunk, you don't want to walk far away, and there's no place to go anyway, so they just go behind the stairways and relieve themselves. So the whole place stunk like stale urine, and all these bums are there. You have to step. So he had to step over all these bums. He said, of course, for Prabhupada, when Prabhupada would come, they would stand up and they would, Swamiji, move their hands like that to indicate that he could come. But he said the whole way up the stairway, his nose was about to burst with this horrible, stale urine smell. And he got up to the loft and he knocked on the door, and nobody came to the door. So there was just a voice, "Come in." So Mukunda said, I opened that door and I stepped back 5,000 years in history. There was this golden person, summertime, so Prabhupada didn't have a kurtan, just this uttariya, There was a golden person sitting there with flowing saffron robes, and the golden body, and there was, in the old days before we had nice aristocrat and and what's the other company that makes luggage? Samsonite. Samsonite. We used to have these trunks, that just, aluminum things on the corners like this. So Prabhupada brought all his books in these trunks. So he's using one of those shipping trunks for his desk, and he had a broken typewriter, and there was piles of, it didn't make any sense. Here's this guy who looks like he just stepped out of 5,000 years of history. It's like a genie, and this broken typewriter, this shipping trunk, all these manuscripts lying around Prabhupada was typing out. And Prabhupada just looked at him with those type of eyes like you're seeing an old friend after a long time. You're walking down the street, minding your business, all of a sudden you look up and you see an old friend you haven't seen, that type of look. Prabhupada said, yes, come. And then there was no place to sit except on the floor. He sat on the floor, and Prabhupada told him that he's having classes on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. He should come. So then Mukunda started coming to the classes. So anyway, unfortunately, that boy who'd given him the loft, he'd also told 3 friends that they could stay there. He said, the rent is paid, you could stay there. And originally they had a program that they rotated who would cook every day. And then, Prabhupada's turn came, and they came the next day and said, Swamiji, can you cook again? They love Prabhupada's prasada, so Swamiji, can you cook again? So anyway, one of the boys took some LSD, he went crazy, he threw a bar of soap at Prabhupada, and Prabhupada grabbed his things, ran down to the street, and New York is not the place, especially the Bowery, is not the place to be. You don't know where to go. Whether to turn left or right, Prabhupada had no idea where to go. Somehow he remembered that there was a black devotee named Cleaver who lived not far away. And he made his way there, and Cleaver was married to a white American girl, and she did not like Prabhupada at all, especially since her husband was getting attracted to Prabhupada's mission. And he was, Prabhupada was, competition for her attention, So she didn't like Prabhupada at all. And, Prabhupada told him what happened. He said, well, you can stay here. So Prabhupada was sleeping on the couch in the living room, and have to go through their bedroom to the bathroom, and very uncomfortable situation. So on Saturday they went down, because Mukunda was like a leader amongst his friends, everybody respected whatever he said. So Saturday morning, 7 o'clock, they went over to Mukunda's apartment. Now they'd been all, Friday night, practicing. There was guitar and amplifier cords everywhere and sheet music everywhere. Everything was a big mess, At 7 o'clock, in those days, that was a horrible hour. We used to peek out at 9 o'clock and, oh, the sun is shining. So 7 o'clock was an ungodly hour. Then, Mukunda came to the door and he saw Prabhupada. He realized that this is my spiritual master. Now my spiritual master has come. He was just so bewildered, and Prabhupada understood, and he said, it is proper when the spiritual master comes, you offer some fruit. Because Prabhupada was afraid to take anything else, than fruit. So he said, he ran, he woke up Janaki, he said, go to the kitchen, cut up some oranges, quick. And Prabhupada sat on the couch. Immediately the cat jumped into his lap and Prabhupada went whack. Of course, there's other times we hear about the cat coming and Prabhupada rubbing his toe on the cat. But that time the cat just jumped into Prabhupada's lap and he went whack like this. And they were sitting and talking. And America means, those days was TV culture. Even my mother, she had a TV in the ceiling, so that she could lie in bed. She'd just go to sleep, but the TV would be going all night. You can't go to sleep without the TV. So they immediately turned the TV, so there must have been something like, it was Saturday morning, so it must have been Mighty Mouse or something. And Prabhupada just looked, he said, this is nonsense. And Mukunda, in one motion, he jumped off the couch and turned off the switch. Yes, Swamiji, this is nonsense. And then they kept saying that, this has happened and Prabhupada needs a place and you have to do something. And they kept saying, you have to do something. And he said, and Prabhupada, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And Mukunda had no idea, and Prabhupada just sort of, you've seen those pictures of Prabhupada with his head cocked back like this. And profile is just like a swan gliding across the lake. Prabhupada looked, he said, Mukunda told me, I can close my eyes, I can still see Prabhupada's eyes staring right through me. And I didn't know what to do. I just say, yes, Swamiji, we'll do something. So then they found 26 Second Avenue. And we just happened to be there last year, now it's last year, for the grand opening. Now they remodeled it. Radha Swami took it as a service to remodel it. And we were, just by accident, we happened to be there for the day that they opened it. It was so nice seeing all our old God sisters and God brothers and hearing all this old stories and everything. So they got this old, and then so they invited the guy who owned the place. He came, and he was just a regular old American guy. Saturday morning, just drink beer and watch football on TV or something. He blue denim jacket and blue denim jeans, and he came, but he was very respectful. He kept calling Prabhupada, Your Excellency. He helped him into his chair, and the devotees were talking. So he was being very polite and he was listening. So the devotees were getting excited. And they said, and now you're going to find out, whoever became a life member, you missed it. He said, yes, and just for $20 a month, you can become a life member of our society. And he looked and he said, how about if we knock $20 off the rent? So I think it was $200, so it became $180. And Prabhupada moved into 26 Second Avenue. And then he told how that story, the ceremony limit, where the drunk came in, stumbled in, put some toilet paper in the bathroom and stumbled back out. And nobody knew it. What's Swamiji going to do? And Prabhupada says, now his devotional service has begun. And then the Mott Street crew, Kirtananda and everyone started coming. And they had been to India. And it was just an empty room with nothing, They thought we should decorate this. So we have all these things they had bells and Jaipur tie-dye bedspreads and the beautiful Tree of Life bedspreads from Jaipur, and they had all these things. So they started fixing up the place, putting all these bedspreads on the walls and hanging bells everywhere. And they had all these posters from India, and they put them all around. And then this was Hare Krishna. Oh, he fainted just hearing about it. Yeah, probably. Change of body. So other boys started coming in, and big argument started. What are you doing? This is Maya. Swamiji says we just take what's the essence, what's necessary. This is Maya. He said, no, we're decorating this temple for Krishna. No, Swamiji said, this is all extra. He says, we just take the, Om Purnamada, or just whatever the bare necessity is, So this was the first ISKCON politics. So these two groups were going on like this. And I guess Prabhupada must have heard some noise. So he came downstairs and he walked inside and he looked just like a little child. Prabhupada's eyes got very big and he looked around and he gave the verdict. This is Krishna consciousness. When I was a young devotee, that was our saying all the time. By accident, because we never on purpose did anything right, but by accident we did something right. The older devotees would say, oh, this is Krishna consciousness. We don't say that anymore, but the old days it was, we encouraged each other like that. Oh, this is Krishna. So Prabhupada looked, he said, this is Krishna consciousness. And then Prabhupada went around, there was demigod posters, so he said, no, take this one down. And then there was one, they didn't know what it was, and what's Swamiji going to say? They thought it was a cat or something, And Swamiji came and he looked, he said, oh, this is Hanuman. He's a monkey who's a great servant of Lord Ram. They all look, he's a servant of Lord Ram. And somehow or other, it's very difficult, especially in Delhi, they had a picture of Panchatattva. And they didn't know what Swami was going to say about that one. And he came, this is Lord Chaitanya. And so Prabhupada, sometimes mentioned a lot about Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sadhbhuj, sorry. This is Sadhbhuj. And he showed, 2 hands for Ram, 2 hands for Krishna, and 2 hands for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sadhbhuj. He says, hey, this was the beginning of Krishna consciousness. We got to hear these old stories from Mukunda. All right, so we'll have Kirtan. Hare Krishna.
No, we seated. You're already tired.
Everybody else can get up and dance if you want. What line haven't I used? Which line I have missed so far? Yeah. Bolo Santan Hari Hari Murli Adidari. Whatever. All right, so we're just in Raval. So. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. 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 Bolo barsane wali ki jai jai jai. Bolo barsane wali ki jai jai jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Bolo Vrishabhanu Nandani ki jai jai jai. Vrishabhanu Nandani. Bolo Vrishabhanu Nandani ki jai jai jai. Vrishabhanu Nandani. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Vrishabhanu Dulari ki jai jai jai. Dulari ki. Vrishabhanu Dulari ki jai jai jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Huh? Govinda Mohini ki jai jai jai. Govinda. Bolo Govinda Mohini ki jai jai jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Radhe Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Kanu Manu Mohini ki jai jai jai. Bolo Kanu Manu Mohini. Bolo Kanu Manu Mohini ki jai jai jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Bolo Asta Sakhi Surumani ki jai jai jai. Asta Sakhi Surumani. Bolo Asta Sakhi Surumani ki jai jai jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Hare Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Oh Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Oh Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Oh Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Rani ki jai. Bolo Barsane Wadi ki jai jai jai. Bolo Barsane Wadi ki jai jai jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Radhe Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Radha Rani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Bolo Krishna Bhanu Nandani ki jai, jai, jai. Bolo Krishna Bhanu Nandani ki jai, jai, jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Bolo Shri Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham ki jai. the revealer of the holy Dham, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimati Radharani ki jai, 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 Sri Radhe Shah. आप सब लोग की हरे कृष्ण. Hare Krishna. So today being the last session, we'll all be missing the association of Brijavasi, Deena Prabhu. And on behalf of ISKCON Nairobi, we would plead if you can come, maybe if not 1 year, every year, at least once in 2 years, and give us a your association, because you took us very far back to Vrindavan, and we all enjoyed. How many of you really enjoyed? Haribol! So we'll chant Mahamantra, one Mahamantra for the appreciation. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. From his discourses, we can hear so many things which you can't find in the books. This is a very rare opportunity, a very rare discussion of many, many things which are very secret. But he has told us and he has kept us on the path which Shri Prabhupada is taking us also. Hare Krishna. So on behalf of ISKCON Nairobi, there's a small gift for you. Hare Krishna. And there's prasadam for everyone. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.